you'd better look for a new career.
Next time I see you, you'll be a father.
I will return, don't you fret.
I still remember the first time I saw you.
Yes, it was
My
rainy.
hair was all wet. I can't believe you still remember that. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, one moment.
I'm here too. But
Hey, okay, what can I do for you, young lady?
Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert sent for me and I'm supposed to meet them here. I came from the orphanage in Nova Scotia and they sent word through Mrs. Spencer to put me on a train. I hear they are brother and sister living on a farm on Prince Edward Island. And I think that is absolutely tragical and mysterious, don't you? I mean, don't you wonder why neither of them ever married or had children of their own? I do that, you know, discover secrets. I call it lifeography, the study of how people live their lives and why.
Will you have a seat over there, please? I am sure they will be along shortly.
Who am I try to see how I lost my family tree. Where are there people just like me? A place where you're wanted. A place where you want to be. This time you'll see I'll make it right. I won't argue, fuss or fight. Won't talk too much, stay out of sight. A place where you're needed. A place where you need to be. It's a place that I long for. It's a home for me. Where are you headed?
Headed home to Carmody.
Bet you can't wait to see your families.
Yeah, sure. We have 8 siblings.
8 brothers and sisters, my goodness. What are their names?
Their names?
Yes, names are very important, so I always ask. No, please tell me.
I don't think he remembers. Of course I do. There's Albert and Andrew and Albie, Marie, Alex and Anthony. There's Aaron and Alice and Anna Clarice. Don't forget Phoebe, our Pika.
Well, I fit right in, because my name's Anne.
Well, take my ticket and I'll stay here. What? What's me?
Am I try to see how
I said
I
return,
lost
don't
my
you
family.
fret.
Where are wait, don't you see your father, honey? Just like me. Say hi to your brothers and sisters.
5:30 train has been in and gone, but there was a passenger dropped off for you. A little girl. She's a case, I should say.
We're not expecting a girl. It's a boy I've come from. He shouldn't be here. He was supposed to be coming from an orphanage in Nova Scotia to help us around the farm.
It seems there's been a mistake. This girl came off the train and said you and your sister would be along for her. That's all I know about it. And as you can see, I haven't got any more orphans concealed about.
I don't understand.
Well, she's all yours. I dare say she'll be able to explain. She has no problem keeping up a conversation, that's for certain. Evening, Matthew.
Oh, Marilla's not going to like this.
I suppose you are Mr. Matthew Cuthbert of Green Gables? Oh, I'm so glad to see you! I was beginning to be afraid you weren't coming for me, and I was imagining all the things that might have happened to prevent you.
Well, I am sorry I was late. Come along. Give me your bag.
Oh, I can carry it. It isn't heavy. It's got all my worldly goods in it, which is why it is so light. Oh, I'm so glad to finally meet you. It seems so wonderful that I'm going to live with you and belong with you. You know, I've never belonged to anybody, not really. I don't suppose you ever lived in an orphanage, so you couldn't possibly understand what it's like. It's worse than you could ever imagine. Am I talking too much? Oh, people are always telling me I do. Would you rather I didn't talk? If you say so, I'll stop. I can stop if I really put my mind to it, although it is difficult. See?
You can talk as much as you like. I don't mind.
No, I'm so glad. I know you and I are going to get along together fine. People are usually telling me to stop talking, and they laugh at me because I use big words. But if you have big ideas, you have to have big words to express them, haven't you? Mrs. Hammond said my tongue must be hung in the middle, but it isn't. It's firmly fastened at one end, see?
Get up!
As I was sitting on that bench, I was beginning to wonder who was going to come and pick me up. And I had this feeling that it might be your sister, but when I saw that it was a man, I thought, oh, that's very interesting, because I've never known any old men. Oh, not that you're old or anything, it's just that I've only ever been around women. Take Mrs. Allen, for instance. When she told me I was going to Prince Edward Island, I thought, now that's a good name for a place. You know, a name is a very important thing. I mean, the wrong name for a place, or especially a person, could be absolutely disastrous. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
Oh, take me, for instance. Now, my name is Anne, and though it may seem to be a rather dull name, there are actually many variations on it. Well, there's Annie, which is okay for a little girl. Then there's Anna, which is quite mysterious. And then there's just plain old Anne, spelled A-N-N. I mean, you couldn't possibly respect anyone with a name spelled like that, could you?
No.
A name can't be just anything. A name sets you free. Take Betty with a B or Carol with a Z. Those names are all so dreary. Not Donna with an E nor Greta with a G. I'm Anne with an E. Oh, how beautiful it is here. It's the first thing I've ever seen that couldn't be improved upon by my imagination. Well, but there wasn't much scope for imagination in the orphanage. Except for that one time when I imagined the girl who sat next to me was the daughter of a belted earl who had been stolen away from her parents in her infancy by a cruel nurse who died before she could confess. Oh, isn't that pretty? What's it called?
Oh, that's Barry's Pond.
Oh, no, that name will never do. I think we should call it, let's see, the Lake of Shining Waters. Is that not the most beautiful name you've ever heard?
Yes.
Yes, it is, or yes, it isn't.
No.
Who lives in that house?
Oh, the Barrys live there. They have a girl about your age. Her name is Diana.
Oh, what a perfectly lovely name. How fortunate she is. With a name like that, you could do anything you wanted in life. Marry a king, go on a crusade, or have your picture on a coin. If Joan of Arc had been a Judy, where would she be? Oh.
Alive?
Not Eddie with an E, nor Percy with a P, not Terry with a T, or Virgo with
Zoe with a Z.
Oh, perfect! Thank you. You're Zoe with a Z. No, my man with My, this couldn't be Green Gables, could it?
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, how exquisite! I hadn't any real idea what it looks like, but as soon as I saw it, I felt it was home. It seems as if I must be in a dream. Let this be a home for me. Oh, hello. You must be Miss Marilla Cuthbert.
Girl! Oh, this will never do. Go upstairs and get cleaned up.
I'm so glad
We
to
will
find...
talk in the morning. Well, this is a fine kettle of fish. This is what comes from sending word instead of doing it ourselves. This girl will have to be sent back to the orphanage.
Yes, I suppose so.
You suppose so? Don't you know it?
Well, now she's a real nice little thing, Marilla. It's kind of a pity to send her back when she's all set on staying here.
Matthew Cuthbert, you don't mean to say you think we ought to keep her.
Oh, well, I suppose not. Not exactly. Well, I suppose we could hardly be expected to keep her.
I should say not. What good would she be to us?
We might be some good for her.
Matthew Cuthbert, I believe that child has bewitched you. I can see as plain that you want to keep her.
Well, now, she's a real interesting little thing. You should have heard her talk coming from the station.
Oh, she can talk fast enough. I saw that at once. It's nothing in her favor either. I don't like children who have so much to say. I don't want an orphan girl, and if I did, she isn't the style I'd pick. No, she's got to be dispatched straight away back to where she came from.
I could hire a farmhand to help me, and then she'd be company for you.
I'm not suffering for company, and I'm not going to keep her.
Well, now, it's just as you say, of course, Marilla. I will leave you to handle everything.
Matthew Cuthbert. Anne, your breakfast is waiting. Anne! Child, what took you so long? Your breakfast has been ready for half an hour.
Oh, I was just staring at that lovely giant cherry tree outside my window. Oh, isn't it wonderful?
It's a big tree and it blooms great, but the fruit doesn't amount to much, never. Small and wormy.
Don't you feel as if you just love the world on a morning like this? I'm so glad there's a brook near Green Gables. Perhaps you think it doesn't make a difference when you're not going to keep me, but it does. I shall always like to remember there's a brook at Green Gables, even if I never see it again. I'm not in the depths of despair this morning, but I feel very sad. I just keep imagining it was really me you wanted after all, and that I was to stay here forever and ever.
Now, never mind your imaginings. Have a seat at the table.
I'm so glad it's not raining today because it's much easier to be cheerful and bear up under affliction on a sunshiny day. I feel as if I have a great deal to bear up under. It's all very well to read about sorrows and imagine yourself living through them heroically, but it's not so nice when you really come to have them, is it?
For pity's sake, hold your tongue. You talk entirely too much for a little girl. My, you certainly were hungry. Can you wash dishes?
Pretty well. I'm much better at looking after children, though. I've had so much experience at that. It's such a pity you haven't any here for me to look after.
I don't feel as if I wanted any more children to look after than I've got at present. You're problem enough in all conscience. What's to be done with you? I don't know. Matthew is a most ridiculous man.
Well, I think he's lovely. He didn't mind how much I talked. I felt that he was a kindred spirit as soon as I saw him.
You're both odd enough, if that's what you mean by kindred spirits.
Oh, isn't it happy. I could never imagine this red hair away, nor these dreadful freckles.
Really, Anne, it's not right to be so worried about your looks. Well, since you're evidently bent on talking, you might as well talk with some purpose by telling me what you know about yourself.
Oh, what I know about myself really isn't worth telling. If only you'll let me tell you what I imagine about myself, you'll find it ever so much more interesting.
No, I don't want any of your imaginings. Just stick to the bald facts. Where were you born and who are your parents?
I was born in Bolingbroke, Nova Scotia. My parents' names were Walter and Bertha Shirley. Aren't Walter and Bertha lovely names? They both died of fever when I was quite small, and there wasn't anyone to take me, so I went to live at the orphanage. I lived there for a couple years until I went to live with a Mr. and Mrs. Hammond. They had 6 children. They had twins 3 times. Now, I like babies in moderation, but twins 3 times in succession is too much. I used to get so dreadfully tired carrying them about. I lived there for over 2 years, but when Mr. Hammond died, Mrs. Hammond divided up her children among her relatives and went to live in the States. They didn't want me back at the orphanage, but they had to take me since nobody else would. And I stayed there until you sent for me.
Were Mr. and Mrs. Hammond good to you?
Oh. They meant to be. I know they meant to be just as good and kind as possible, and when people mean to be good to you, you don't mind as much when they're not quite always. They had a great deal to worry about, you know, but I felt they meant to be good to me.
Yoo-hoo, Marilla! Oh, no.
Marilla? Hello?
In the kitchen! Ah, there you are. Good morning, Rachel. What a pleasant surprise.
Good morning, Marilla. I have been hearing some surprising things about you and Matthew.
Oh, well,
Yes, I saw Matthew in his wagon heading off toward the station, dressed in finery and fashion which I cannot help but mention, and I knew he was up to something.
well,
Then, while I was at the mercantile, Mrs. Burns, in usual style, said to Mr. Johnson while I was picking through the patterns that you and Matthew Cutlet were adopting a child, a boy to be exact, to help around the farm.
well, we were.
Then, while I was happily attending to my sewing and my mending, I just happened to glance up and well, I saw Matthew in his buggy with a girl not very lovely, arriving from the station, and in total devastation, my heart just broke for you.
Rachel, I
mean, a girl with a burden, like moody and uncertain, and you don't know what you're getting. Now the neighbors are all betting that you've made a bad mistake, and there's trouble in your wake if you don't soon reverse this curse.
Rachel, really, how would you know? You don't have any children of your own. Now, don't worry yourself. It's all being handled.
Yes, I know. You will call on Mrs. Spencer at the orphanage and tell her you're not soon to forgive her for this mix-up that she's caused. You'll insist she take the girl back. Will not even let her unpack. And if Matthew doesn't know it yet, you're sure to get your way. So, this is the little orphan boy.
And this is Mrs. Lynde.
Well, they didn't pick her for looks, that's for sure and certain. She's terribly skinny and homely, Marilla. Come here, child, let me have a look at you. Lawful heart, did anyone ever see such freckles? And hair as red as carrots.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. How dare you call me skinny and ugly? And how would you like to have such things said about you? How would you like to be told you're fat and clumsy and probably haven't a spark of imagination in you ever? And
did anyone ever see such a temper?
This is a nice way for you to behave, and aren't you ashamed of yourself?
she hadn't any right to call me freckled and red-headed.
You said yourself not 5 minutes ago.
Oh, but there's such a difference when you hear other people say it.
That's true enough. But in any case, you must apologize to Mrs. Lind.
Oh, I can never do that. You can lock me up in a dark, damp dungeon inhabited by snakes and toads and feed me only on bread and water.
Never mind all that. Tell her you're sorry.
How can I, when I'm not sorry?
You have such a vivid imagination, perhaps you can imagine an apology.
Oh, yes. I could do that.
Mrs. Lind.
Oh, Mrs. Lind! I am so extremely sorry. I could never express all my sorrow, no. Not if I used up the whole dictionary. I behaved terribly to you. I'm a dreadfully wicked and ungrateful girl, and I deserve to be cast out and punished by respectable people forever. Every word you said to me was the truth. And every word I said was true, too, but I shouldn't have said it. Oh, Mrs. Lind, please forgive me. If you refuse, it will be a lifelong sorrow. No, please say you'll forgive me, Mrs. Lind.
There, child, get up. Of course I'll forgive you.
No, you have given me hope. I shall always feel that you are a benefactor.
The wagon's set, ready to take him back to the station.
Oh, you'll never make it now? We got so carried away with Mrs. Lind here, I'm afraid that train will have left the station by now. You'll just have to go tomorrow.
Whatever you say, Marilla.
May I go out into the garden now? There's so much more scope for imagination out there.
Yes, run along, child.
She's a real odd little bit.
That she is.
Well, you won't have to trouble yourself any longer, Marilla, because I have good news for you. A couple of weeks ago, Mrs. Peter Blewett told me that she and her husband had been thinking of adopting a girl to help around the house. She has a large family, you know. 6 children at last count. I hope you don't mind that I took it upon myself to speak to Mrs. Blewett on your behalf this morning.
Oh, well,
She said Anne might work out fine for them. I call it positively providential.
but Mrs. Blewett? She's one of the cruelest women I've ever met, and her children are as wild as they come. Really, Rachel, I hardly think
She said you could bring Anne over this very afternoon. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, I don't know. I didn't say that Matthew and I had absolutely decided we wouldn't keep her. In fact, I may say that Matthew is disposed to keep her. I think I'd better talk it over with him before I make a decision.
Marilla Cuthbert, you don't honestly plan on keeping her. You don't know what you're getting. Why, just last week I read in the paper how a man and his wife took a boy out of an orphanage and he set fire to the house at night on purpose. Nearly burnt them all to a crisp in their beds.
Thank you for your overwhelming concern, Rachel, but I hardly think that Anne would...
Oh, and I heard of a case where an orphan girl put strychnine in the well. And the whole family died in fearful agonies. And guess what? In that case, it was a girl.
That's a risk we'll have to take, Rachel. All I know is that I wouldn't give a dog I like to that Blewett woman.
Well, suit yourself. I have one word for you, Marilla. Strychnine.
Come along, child. It's bedtime.
I apologized pretty well this morning, didn't I? I thought since I had to do it, I might as well do it thoroughly.
You did it thoroughly, all right. I ought to scold you for apologizing so well, but then that would be ridiculous, of course. Now, say your prayers and get into bed.
Oh, I never say any prayers.
Why, Anne, what do you mean? Were you never taught to say your prayers? Don't you know who God is?
God is a spirit, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable in his being, wisdom, power, holiness, justice, goodness, and truth.
So you do know something then, thank goodness. You aren't quite a heathen. Where did you learn that?
We had Sunday school at the orphanage.
Well, you must say your your prayers if there's even a possibility of staying under my roof.
Why, of course, if you want me to, I'd do anything to oblige you. Let's see now. Gracious Heavenly Father, that's the way the ministers say it in church, so I suppose it's all right in a private prayer.
You must kneel down.
Gracious Heavenly Father, I thank Thee for the lake of shining waters and the white way of delight. I'm really extremely grateful for them. Yeah, and that's all the blessings I could think of just now to thank Thee for. As for the things I want, they're too numerous to mention, so I will only ask for 3. Please let me stay at Green Gables, and please let me be good-looking when I grow up. And if Marilla decides to keep me, please let her make me a dress with puffy sleeves that all the society ladies are wearing.
Oh, no, child. You're not writing a letter to the Queen of England. And those big puff sleeves are nothing but a gratuitous waste of fabric and completely unnecessary. Now, let's try something a bit more conventional, shall we? Our Father.
How do you know it's a father, not a mother?
In heaven.
How do you know there really is a heaven?
You'll find out soon enough if you don't hold your tongue, child. Hallowed be thy name.
Who's Ed?
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
I'll never be able to remember all this.
Oh, it's really very simple. Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us.
There's more.
Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Like Rachel's tongue.
Like Mrs. Lynde's tongue.
Is this the part where we say amen?
Now get yourself into bed then.
Marilla,
Yes.
thank you for everything.
Good night.
Good night.
Matthew Cuthbert, it's about time somebody adopted that child and taught her something. Do you believe that she's never said a prayer her whole life until tonight?
So, did you tell her she can stay?
Not yet. If I told her tonight, she'd be up until 3 in the morning talking about it. I'll tell her tomorrow at breakfast. And she can walk to school with Diana there. Well, good night, Matthew.
Good night.
Oh! Hello! Are you Diana Barry?
Yes, I am, and this is my sister, Minnie May.
Oh, I'm so glad to finally meet you both. I am Anne Shirley of Green Gables. Oh, I've heard so much about you. Oh, and you're just as pretty as I thought you'd be.
But I mean, how could you not
not be with a name like Diana. Oh, thank you. I can't wait to see the schoolhouse and meet the teacher. I bet she's just wonderful.
Well, actually, his name is Mr. Phillips, and I'm not sure wonderful is the word I would use. Although I am pretty sure Prissy Andrews would disagree with me.
Who's that?
Oh, she's just this silly girl who giggles at everything Mr. Phillips says.
Oh, I hate that.
Me too.
Is this the way you always go to school?
Yes, of course. Why do you ask?
It's so beautiful. I mean, how can you just pass through here every day without stopping to take it all in?
Well, you should see it in spring. There are millions of violets all around.
Yes, violets. Can we get going, please? Oh, I can't wait. What is the name of this place?
Name? I don't think there is a name.
Well, we ought to call it the Violet Vale. Oh, yes, that's the perfect name.
I suppose it is.
Oh, and the trees. I've never seen so many huge maples in one place. Oh, and they're such sociable trees, too, always rustling and whispering to you.
Diana, we have to get to school. We're going to be late, and you know how Mr. Phillips insists on punctuality.
I know, Min. You run along, and we'll catch up in a minute.
Okay, but don't be late. I don't want you to get in trouble.
We won't. I promise. Now go!
Diana, do you think these trees may be haunted? Maybe we should call this the Haunted
Wood?
Yes! Oh, I just knew you'd understand. It's so hard to find anybody who really understands me. I believe we may well be kindred spirits, Diana. Do you think you could be my bosom friend?
Why, I guess so. I'm awfully glad you came to live at Green Gables. It will be jolly to have someone to play with and share secrets with.
Oh, that's exactly how I feel. When you look at the moon, do you smile and wonder who that man is? And when you wake in the morning light, can you find a fairy's footprint
On your pillow. When you walk on the path to school, do you hear the chipmunks yelling at their children? And when you swim in the lake at night, do you pretend that you are a mermaid?
wishes?
I always wondered when I find someone who would know what I'm thinking, who wouldn't laugh or tease or fight by talking and scheming and constant daydreaming of mystery. We will walk like sisters, put your hand in mine, sharing precious secrets till lonely roads combine. When the world forgets you and storm clouds block the light, I will not reject you. I'll guide you through the night. We'll be kindred spirits until the end of time.
Will you swear to be my bosom friend forever and ever?
Sure. How do you do it?
We must join hands. I, Anne Shirley, solemnly swear to be faithful to my bosom friend, Diana Barry, for as long as the sun and moon shall endure. Now you say to put my name in.
I, Diana Barry, swear to be faithful to my bosom friend, Anne Shirley, for as long as the sun and moon shall endure. You are a funny girl, Anne. I always wondered when I find someone who would know what I'm thinking, who wouldn't laugh or tease or fight by talking and scheming and constant daydreaming of mystery. We will walk like sisters, put your hand in mine, sharing precious secrets till only roads combine.
her deep concern.
Wasn't that just wonderful?
You must be Anne Shirley. Well, I see that the word punctuality has no meaning to you whatsoever.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Phillips, but we were walking through the violet vale, and it was just so beautiful. The maple trees were whispering such wonderful secrets to us that we had to stop and listen.
Stop! I do not want to hear an oratorio of maple trees and violets, Miss Shirley. Now have a seat next to Diana.
Yes, sir.
All right, I can see that we have completely lost control of ourselves. In order to get us back on track, I want the whole class to review their times tables.
Mr. Phillips, do we have to? I learned those years ago.
This is for the benefit of our newest pupil, Miss Anne Shirley. Now, I would like Minnie May to come up and lead the class. I'll be right back. I feel a headache coming on.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 7. 8. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 15. You're hopeless.
He's clear. He's gone. I'll never be able to shift to the likes of you.
That is Gilbert Blythe. Oh, just look at him and see if you don't think he's the most beautiful, amazing, strong, handsome boy you've ever seen. I think your Gilbert Blythe is handsome, but he's very bold. It isn't good manners to wink at a strange girl.
That girl, what's her story? Look at all that blazing red hair.
I heard she's evil. I heard she's a orphan. I heard she has a dome.
I really don't care.
That's Josie. She sure loves the boys. Especially Gilbert. What is so special about Gilbert Blythe?
What? He's brilliant, he's handsome, he's tall and serene. His hair is so wavy like a stormy ocean scene. His eyes are bright sapphires, they sparkle with light. I just know that someday I'll be his wife.
Why? Focusing this much time and attention on one boy is utterly ridiculous. You girls should be using your imaginations. Go outside, dream. Boys are crazy.
We're crazy.
You're silly and stupid, giggling girls, talking and preening and shaking your curls. We couldn't, you're out of your mind. We never marry one of your kind.
Hi, I'm Charlie Sloan and I'm a farmer.
6 times 2 is
12.
6 times 3 is 6 times 4 is
24.
Carry on.
I have something to say. Civilized children of good breeding don't behave in such hideous ways. Princes and kings bow to their ladies. Ladies of court, they're meant to
Oh, you're reading Jane Eyre.
You cannot possibly understand the themes of this great work of literature.
I read it last summer.
Yeah.
Stop showing off. I'm not impressed that you read one book.
How many would impress you?
What?
What is going on in here? Who is responsible for this?
It was the new girl. What?
Just as I thought. Anne Shirley, you'll never mind your excuses, and as punishment you can sit in the back of the room by Gilbert.
What?
Well, did you hear what I said, Anne?
Oh, yes, sir, but I didn't suppose you really meant it.
Oh, I assure you I did. Now obey me at once. Now, let's take out our readers. Ruby, please begin reading on page 66.
Every sentence has two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject of a sentence is the part about which something is being said. The subject often includes more than one word.
Very good, Ruby. Now, Gilbert, please continue by reading the sample sentence.
In open confession, in the lowest abnegation before
Repudiation, there would still be sublimity. This parenthetical statement in this complex sentence is a quote from Rudolf von Goschel's novel in 3 volumes, Withered Leaves, translated from its original German and published in 1879. It is a prime example of German sensibility in which one considers ultimate sacrifice and public humiliation within the act of confession to be sweetly sublime. Tragedy, sacrifice, and heroism all in one sentence.
Carrot! Carrot!
You mean hateful boy! How dare you!
Oh, Shirley, what does this mean?
It was my fault, Mr. Phillips. I teased her.
I am sorry to see a pupil of mine display such temper and such a vindictive spirit. Anne, follow me. I want you to write. Anne Shirley has a very bad temper 500 times. Time for recess. Everyone except Anne.
I'm awful sorry I made fun of your hair, Anne. Honest, I am. Don't be mad for keeps now.
Anne, how can you ignore him like that? I shall never forgive Gilbert Blythe. Mr. Phillips spelled my name without an E. The iron has entered into my soul, Diana. All alone my watch I'm keeping in the hazel dell. For my darling Nellie's near me sleeping, Nellie dear, farewell.
Anne, did you see anything of my amethyst brooch? I thought I stuck it in my pincushion when I came home from church yesterday evening, but I can't find it anywhere.
I saw it this afternoon when you were away at the Aid Society. I was passing your door when I saw it on the cushion, so I went in to look at it.
Did you touch it?
Yes. I took it up and I pinned it on my breast just to see how it would look.
You had no business doing anything of the sort. Where did you put it?
Oh, I put it back on the bureau.
You didn't put it back. It's nowhere on the bureau. You've obviously taken it out and lost it.
No, I did put it back, I'm certain.
Well, it's not there now. And by your own admission, you were the last person to handle it. Tell me the truth at once. Did you take it out and lose it?
No, I didn't, and that's the truth. If I was to be led to the block for it. Well, I'm not very certain what a block is.
I believe you are lying to me, Anne. Don't say anything more unless you're prepared to tell the whole truth. And you can forget about the tea party with Diana.
I've been looking forward to it for so long.
Anne! There is something in that girl, something I recognize. There is something I despise in that girl. No challenge is left unmet. Every dare is a threat to be more than she thought she'd be, just like me. If I really let me go and start to believe in dreams, will she be all that she seems, that girl?
I heard you and Marilla had words.
Matthew, I'm always making so many mistakes. Do you think there's a limit to the amount of mistakes someone can make?
Well, now, Anne, it's not how many mistakes, it's what you do to fix them. Now, don't you think you'd better fix it and have it over with? It'll have to be done sooner or later, you know, for Marilla's a dreadful, determined woman. Dreadful, determined, Anne.
What? How can I possibly fix it?
You know what I mean.
You mean apologize?
Yes, that's it, apologize. Do it right off. Have it over.
But Matthew, I didn't. Oh, all right. I suppose I could do it to oblige you.
I'd rather you do it because it's right. Now, be a good girl. Run along and tell Marilla.
Okay. I'll do whatever you say, Matthew.
The quiet, so empty, she fills the space, revives me, reminds me, defines me.
I pinned it on my breast. Oh, it was so beautiful.
The chatter, unyielding, seems to replace the silence of this weathered face.
I was so excited to show Diana that I ran over the bridge.
I've been here, I'll be here, like always, but still,
And it fell into the lake of shining waters.
it's nice to be needed
Go to bed.
by that girl.
She challenges my regret, and it feels like a threat to be more than I thought I'd be. She needs me. If I really let me and start to believe in dreams, will she be all that she seems?
It's nice to be needed.
For Land's sake, I believe the child is crazy.
Well, don't you think it's pretty rough not to let her have her party with Diana?
Matthew Cuthbert, I'm amazed at you. I think I've let her off entirely too easy. If she really felt sorry, it wouldn't be so bad. But I put my hand to the plow and I won't look back.
There should be allowances made, Marilla. You know she's never had any bringing up.
Well, she's having it now. Dear life and heart,
What is it?
what does this mean? Here's my brooch stuck to my shawl and not at the bottom of Barry's pond. Oh, I remember now. When I took off my shawl, I laid it on the bureau for a minute. I suppose it got caught somehow. Well, Anne, come down here at once. I do believe Green Gables is bewitched. And Shirley, I just found my brooch attached to my lace shawl. Now, what was all that rigmarole you told me earlier?
I decided to confess because I was about to get to host my tea party, but then you told me the party was off anyway, so all my trouble was wasted.
Oh, Anne, you do beat all. But I was wrong. I see that now. Of course, it wasn't right to confess to a thing you hadn't done, but I drove you to it. So if you forgive me, Anne, I'll forgive you. And yes, you can have your tea party.
No, Marilla, thank you. And I'm sorry, too. Have you ever noticed one encouraging thing about me, Marilla? I never make the same mistake twice.
I don't know that's much benefit when you're always making new ones.
How is your mother? She is very well, thank you. I suppose Mr. Cuthbert is hauling potatoes to the Lily Sands this afternoon, is he? Oh yes, our potato crop is very good this year. I hope your father's potato crop is good too. It is good too, thank you.
Oh, Diana, I can't believe you're actually here. I mean, after the brooch incident with Marilla, I didn't think she'd ever change her mind. But thank goodness she found it, and I was released from the dark confines of my room to be forgiven for all my transgressions. Oh, do you know what would make this tea party even more spectacular?
No!
What? If we were both wearing fancy dresses with big puff sleeves. Diana, wouldn't you feel positively royal dressed like that?
Oh, I suppose I would.
Oh, do I have a surprise for you?
Yes, what is it?
This is Marilla's raspberry cordial.
That is awfully nice raspberry cordial.
No, I'm real glad you like it. Take as much as you want. I'm gonna go out and stir the fire up.
There are so many responsibilities on a person's mind when they're keeping house. This is the nicest cordial I ever drank. It's ever so much nicer than Mrs. Lynde's, although she brags of her so much.
Oh, isn't it great, Diana, that Marilla is no longer upset with me? Take my word for it, Diana, I am through making mistakes. No, don't praise her. This marks a new era for me. Well, except for the other night when I forgot all about covering the pudding sauce like Marilla asked me to. You know, I did mean to cover it, I swear I did, but I got distracted. And when I woke up the next morning, I found a dead mouse wrapped in pudding sauce. Well, I meant to fish it out, but on my way to get the potato, I stopped to gaze out the window at the garden, and I forgot all about it. Anyway, later that evening, when we were all around the dinner table, Marilla served the pudding sauce, warmed up, and I shrieked as the dead mouse went plump! Right there onto Matthew's plate, still dead. Oh, that was a terrible moment. I have learned my lessons, Diana, and I vow to never get distracted again. I will pay attention to what I'm doing and focus so that I won't miss a single detail forevermore. Diana?
Where is Anne? My dearest, most wonderful bosom.
Why, Diana, what's the matter?
Oh, why, yes, Gilbert, I will marry you! You? Oh, stop wearing dresses?
Diana, it's me, Anne.
Oh, my kindred spirit!
May I have another glass of cordial? Maybe you should lie down and rest.
I am awfully sick.
Diana, what's wrong? What is going on here?
Good day, Mr. Lynde. How is your wife, the old busybody, doing?
Diana, how could you say such a thing? Awful heart, she's drunk! Drunk?
Drunk.
Anne Shirley, are you responsible for this?
I don't think so.
And what did you do?
I only gave her the raspberry cordial like you said I could.
Oh, Anne, how could you? You cracked the wrong bottle. This isn't the cordial. This is my currant wine.
Oh, dear.
Who did you tell the difference?
No, I couldn't. I've never had cordial before.
strongest in all of Avonlea. And the whole bottle practically gone. I love you! Diana, my poor daughter! I don't do very well.
Anne Shirley!
What she is trying to say is that she knew Anne was trouble from the first day she arrived at Green Gables.
Yes, that's it.
And that Anne is not a fit little girl to associate with a sweet young child like Diana.
Exactly.
Why are you surprised? I told you she'd be trouble. It cannot be denied. It's so plain to see. First will be the lies, then will be destruction. Cunning little thief, hosting drunken tea.
Rachel, how can you be so heartless?
I have always had this gift. I merely want to share, to help, to guide, be neighborly, and to show I care. Oh, the fire in her hair should have been a warning, waiting in her lair. They're intoxicated, purely out of sight, manipulated. Don't try to be contrived. I can tolerate. I have always had this gift. I merely want to share, to help, to guide, be motherly, and to show I care. You blame this on the little girls, poor little girl. Have you never made your own mistakes? So many mistakes. Maybe I've been blind all along, too stern, too strict to share. She needs me to be motherly and to show I care.
This is actually her fault.
What? She did drink the entire bottle after all. If I had a child, so thirsty and so greedy, she'd sober up a while. For the right mistake, everybody knows to drink a very hard bottle 3 tumbers in a row. That's more blasphemy. Well,
The two of you to see or speak to one another ever again.
But that's not fair. I didn't do it on purpose. Won't you at least let me say one final farewell to Diana?
Well, Mrs. Barry, isn't it the least you could do? Well, under the circumstances, I do not think that is appropriate. You have done enough damage, Anne. I'm taking my daughter home, and you can just stay here and think about all the trouble you've caused today.
No, Diana's the first real friend I've ever had. You can't take her away from me. I promise I'll do better. Please don't take my bosom friend away from me. What is the matter with you all? Have you never made a mistake in all your lives? You're not all so perfect. It was just a mistake. I didn't mean to do it. You have been against me from the start. And you're just old and barren. I am sorry, Diana. I know you didn't do it on purpose. And I know I will never
have another bosom friend as long as I live.